is Arts Alive. I'm Linda Philippi, and my guest today is Tracey Ward. And Tracey has a show on MCM 11 called Haunted Yamhill, and she is here to talk about her new book and Haunted Yamhill. So welcome.
Thank you.
Glad you could be here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here as well. And the book is History and Mystery, Spooks to Spirits. It's haunted places and the places you should haunt. But it's a series of 5 volumes, and it details and covers all of Yamhill County.
Okay.
So each volume is going to have 2 or 3 cities, depending on how many stories are in there, of towns in Yamhill. And with the book comes, it's a haunted travel guide. So not only do you get these wonderful stories of history and actual hauntings, but you're also going to be getting a really concise map of the 2 towns that are being introduced in the stories.
Okay.
And then there's a CD that you plug in, and so while you're driving, you're hearing the stories of the places that you're driving through and driving to. So as you're wine tasting, or you're going to be going to museums or picnicking, any of the above, there's a story of where you're going to go, what's going to be happening. It's very exciting. It's really fun. I'm having a great time.
Are we going to get to hear a little bit of that?
Oh, absolutely. And I brought, or you have, part of the show, which we can watch a little bit of the intro.
Sure, that'd be great.
And I guess if we have that available, that would be wonderful. We can watch some of that.
We'll see. Here we go.
To haunted places and the places you should haunt. Lafayette, known as the Athens of Oregon, was slated for greatness. No one could imagine what would be in store for this thriving town. Murder, sabotage, smallpox, bad luck, and a curse for the city to burn and fall from grace. In a hurry, you may drive through this small town without a thought. That will never happen again.
When I look out my window, many sights to see, that it's strange, so strange. You got to pick up every stitch. Oh no, must be the season of the witch. Must be the season of the witch.
Is this the season of the witch? Folklore has it that the town of Lafayette was cursed by a woman hanged by the neck as a witch from the council tree at 2nd and Adams Street. There are many people who believe this to be true. On my quest to find any facts that validate these claims, I uncovered some very interesting holes in our history. These facts actually left me with a cloak of doubt, as I could not disprove this story. And here's why. If you make your way to the corner of 2nd and Adams Streets, your first impression is of a serene little baseball park. It took me a moment to find the rock, a monument that sits at the corner. There is a large cement flagpole stand a couple of feet from it that dwarfs this monument. You must walk around the rock to see that the plaque reads, "At this site, known as the Commons, the first court sessions in Yamhill County were held in 1846 under an oak tree called the Council Oak. The first federal court sessions were held in 1849. Lafayette was the county seat." Many stories of people being hung in that tree abound. Here's where I ran into some problems. From 1846 to 1850, the county seat found its home in Hawk's Tavern, since no courthouse existed at that time. In 1850, a courthouse was purchased from Lem Scott for $800. This building was on the corner of 3rd and Jefferson and seated 100 people. The building had been a county store and warehouse. It was to burn to the ground in 1857. Arson was suspected, but never confirmed. All records were destroyed except some land and probate accounts. 11 years of history burned to ashes. A new fireproof courthouse was rebuilt of bricks. Construction began in 1859 and was completed in 1860. By 1877, crime was on an upswing. A jail was commissioned and built on the northwest corner of the courthouse. It included 2 iron cells.
Okay, I'm sold. Let's hear more about this. How did you get started with this project?
Well, it's something that I've always loved. And when I was a kid, I got a group of people together, and I called us the Ghost Getters. And we're going to go out and find homes that were haunted that would take us on an exploration, and we'd uncover murder stories or murder mysteries. And so we actually tried to do that. I was about 17, and my little brother was 15, and my little sister 13. Threw them all in the car, and there was a big, empty, deserted mansion up on the hill. And we were going to go and snoop around and see what we could find out. And my little brother had been in a bad motorcycle accident, and at the time was wearing a big cast. And so we park down the hill, and we make our way up to the front of this big mansion, this giant staircase, and we're starting to go up the stairs, and these big Dobermans start running at us. Oh. Well, the house wasn't empty, so we turned around to run, and we ran right over my little brother.
And his cast.
And his cast, and he's wounded, but the dog stopped right at the upper level, and we made it down the road enough, and we have our flashlights because, you know, we're really good at this. And so we have him pull his pants down so we can look at what damage has been done. And so he's got his pants down around his ankles, and I look down the drive, and I see headlights coming up the driveway. I said, run! So my little sister and I run, and we hide in the bushes, and there he is standing in the middle of the road with his pants around his ankles. And it was like this young girl. She was 19, really beautiful. She lived in the house, and she's like, can I help you? She was just as sweet as she could be. And we finally crawled out of the bushes and were humbled ourselves, and she took us up for some hot chocolate and told us the history of the house. And
oh, wow, okay.
But so I've been interested in this since I was a kid, and now I'm finally getting to do what I've always wanted to do. And I grew up in a haunted house, and
did you?
Yeah. It was built at about the Spanish-American War, and it had a hidden doorways and fake staircases where you could hide people in there.
Sure.
And you could crawl from the hallway through to other bedrooms, you know, to get away for your escape. And we had quite a lot of fun scaring our friends, but actually we would end up being the ones getting scared.
Wow.
and it was just, I've heard so much about hauntings in McMinnville. My husband and I have been haunted at La Rumbla when we were there together.
Okay.
And it's not.
And it wasn't just after too much champagne.
No.
Because I know sometimes people say, you know, the skeptics will say, oh, you were, I just thought of something, Tracy.
What?
I know of a haunted house.
Where?
And it's a B&B now.
Oh, well, you're going to have to tell me.
Oh, I absolutely am. Yes, it is. I'll just tell you this really quick. Yes, it is in McMinnville, and the people who used to own it were doing a bunch of renovation, and the wife woke up in the middle of the night, and the old man, the ghost, was there, and he was extremely angry.
Oh.
Like, you cannot mess with my house.
Oh, my goodness.
And she woke her husband up, and her husband was from Argentina, and he was just freaked out. He like, you know, this Santos and the whole thing. And the next day, an old lady came to the door, and she said, I lived in this house. It was her brother who was the haunting.
Wow.
I just remembered that.
Oh, that's wonderful, because I'm starting McMinnville next. I have actually spent so much time in Lafayette. The history is so amazing. I've had the hardest time getting out of Lafayette. The hauntings, the history, it's just been fascinating.
Okay, so talk a little bit about the famous curse of Lafayette. Can you do that?
Well, I can, but also you're going to have to watch the show and or buy the book, because
well, of course,
that's part of that.
Honey, you can't give it away.
Right.
You know that.
And with the help of with gallery players for the show, and we've done recreations. But the most important thing to know is that it was not a witch that cursed the town. It was actually a gypsy. And she cursed the town when her son was hung for murder.
I think I remember that.
And so, and
they had the fire, the big fire.
They had a few fires. They had two that burned the whole town to the ground. They had smallpox. They, lost the county seat to McMinnville, which is a whole nother story.
Will that be in the book?
And it is in the book.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I'm moving to McMinnville now. I'm working on McMinnville now. The book should be out in April.
Okay.
There will be advertising in the book, and it's going to be laid out for your lodging, your bed and breakfast, your entertainment, light dining, fine dining, all the wineries, wine tasting, and the map. You can see for every book, there'll be 2 towns, and then in that book, you'll have a fold-out map. And that just shows you 2 towns, and it's going to be very in-depth. This is just a mock-up, but it'll be very in-depth. The little wineries will have wine glasses. The wine tasting rooms have half a wine glasses.
Oh,
so
I like
it's
that.
really
Oh,
cute.
really
so
cute.
you've got and then all of the places, buildings that have not been in the story, but that do have sightings or hauntings, will have little ghosts on them.
Like a little Casper.
Like a little Casper. And then, of course, each book comes with the CD that you pop in, and that also is narrated by my wonderful husband, Lars, who did the narration of the show that you just watched as well.
And has a fabulous voice for radio.
And he does, and he's back on KLYC.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's great.
And then as well, at the end of this project, I will be putting and producing a large map. All 5 maps, all 5 volumes will be put into one huge map. So advertisers that are in the book can be on the back of the map. The map can be purchased separately. You can tear this map out, put it in your glove. It's a great gift. It's a lot of fun. And we're going to continue doing a whole series of every town. We will have a show. But at this point, it's almost looking like we're going to have 2 shows per town.